Hello and welcome to my live Forever in Motion class. My name is Kimberly. I'm a senior recreation therapist with the Forever in Motion program. And today I'm going to lead you through a Forever in Motion class. What I have nearby for equipment, just so that you know what you need to have nearby too, is I have a set of weights. I have a band. If you have a tubing instead, that works just fine too. And I'll try to give you alternatives between tubing and or band and weights so that if you just have one or the other, but not what I'm choosing, then you know how you can modify that. And then just out of the view of the camera, I have a water bottle. So you'll want to have a water bottle nearby as well for a drink of water sometimes. Okay, we will get started and just gonna start with a toe tap in front. So a couple other quick reminders as well as we're doing our class. Remember to always listen to your body, to work at your own pace. If I'm suggesting something that just doesn't quite feel right, then know that you should modify to whatever feels comfortable for you. At any time, remember that you can sit down and do the exercises. So if I'm doing a tap in front, you could do seated tap in front here as well, adding some arms too. You can do it standing behind your chair, holding on to your chair in front for a little bit of support, or I'm going to be standing beside my chair just so that you can see me all the time and the chair isn't blocking you from being able to see me. But if you are standing, probably a good idea to be behind your chair just in case you ever do need it. So let's start bringing those arms up, making it a little bit bigger. Another good reminder as we start our class is to have good posture and have our core engaged. We like to say we should be thinking about our ABCs of posture, which stands for abdominals in, bum tucked, not bum clenched. So we don't want to think about just clenching our bum. We want to try to have a neutral spine, which is why we're saying abdominals in, bum tucked, chest lifted, and chin tucked. So standing nice and tall, thinking about possibly a string pulling us just a little bit taller, lifting up just a bit. Great. Last 4, 3, 2, 1, and let's tap to the side here now. Now I like to always challenge your brain as well as your body. So right now my arms and legs are going in the same direction, which is easy for our brain. I like to always challenge your brain, you know that. So let's today do something different. Let's do an upright row with that instead. So arms are going to come up as that leg is tapping to the side. That's looking good. Have a couple people starting to come on the view. And if you wouldn't mind just telling me if you can hear me okay. I have got my earbuds in now, hoping that that's just a bit better volume. My phone's getting a little bit older and just doesn't have the great volume that it used to. Good. Okay, and 4, 3, 2, 1, and we have Teddy wanting to participate in today's class here. Good. Okay, let's do a forward and back. So let's go forward, forward, back, back. Now remember, at any time, go a little faster, go a little slower, just depending on how you're feeling. If you're feeling maybe a little bit, want to go a little bit slower, then maybe you go a little bit slower with this. Maybe you want to work a little bit harder, so maybe you go a little faster. That's it. So know that you can always work a little easier, a little harder, depending on how you're feeling today. Good. And again, you could do this seated at the same time. Good. And I'm picking about a middle of the road pace here for myself. Good. I'm starting to swing my arms. Want to get that heart rate going a bit. And 4, 3. Now what I want you to pay attention to, 2, and last one, you've got a dominant side and a non-dominant side. I want you to switch so that your other side leads this time. So your non-dominant leg will be leading. We tend to have a dominant side and a non-dominant side. So really important that we work both sides equally. Good. I always think of it as great for falls prevention. If I was to have a trip and I'm used to my dominant side kind of always going forward, I want to make sure my non-dominant side can just as well be reactionary and step forward too. So it's also great for falls prevention. Okay, 4, 3, 2, and last one. Nice work. Okay, march it out again. Let's go into knees up in front. So starting to bring the heart rate up just a little bit more with a little bit bigger movements. Always again, you can keep this a little bit lower, or you can bring up those knees a little higher. You can have opposite arm to opposite knee. And as I'm doing that opposite arm to opposite knee, then I also want to think about pulling my belly button to my spine, so I can be working my core at the same time here too as well. Good. And always a good time to think about our posture, our core, our breathing too. Sit up. We always want to make sure that we do on the other side as well. So I'm going to do a hamstring curl. So heels kicking my bum this time. Good. Now all of these things, once again, you can do standing or seated. Keep going. If you feel like you're just a bit more comfortable doing it seated, here's a seated hamstring curl. So all of the exercises I do in standing, you can do the same thing in seated, and oftentimes looks exactly the same. It's probably hard to see from this angle, but I am sitting on the front half of my chair, and my back is away from the back of the chair. I'm not actually leaning back. I'm sitting up tall, still working my core, whether I'm seated or standing. Okay, coming up, a couple more. Again, whether you're seated or standing. And 4, 3, 2, and last one, march it out. Great job. Okay, let's have a drink of water. We've been going for about 5 minutes here now. I seriously considered doing the class today outside in the shade, but it is very, very hot out today. Here we are on July 18th, and I just didn't feel like, I thought by the end, even though I thought I could start off out there, I thought by the end I'd probably be dripping sweat. So, okay, let's do wide and narrow now. So again, thinking about dominant side and non-dominant side. I'm going to start with my dominant leg. That'll be the leg that just feels a little bit more comfortable. Going wide, wide, narrow, narrow, wide, wide, narrow, narrow. And again, slow that down a little bit. If you'd like to work a little bit easier, if you'd like to work a little harder, speed it up. You have options. And seated, once again, it's exactly the same. Good. Let's add some arms with that. So I like to sometimes work our rotator cuff muscles. So out, out, in, out, out, in. And once again, I'm going to speed that up just a bit for myself. Good. And what we do, once again, on one side, we need to do on the other side. So you can see that I have one leg leading all the time. We want to switch to the other leg leading. Let's do 3 more. 2. And last one. Okay, pause for a moment. Tap down. Now the other leg is going to lead. So other leg will start the movement. Oftentimes this one here will just feel a little bit more uncomfortable. Okay, again, let's add some arms. Wide, wide, narrow, narrow. And you know what's coming. I like to strain our brain. So can we keep going with that? I'm processing it here in my head right now. Can we keep going with that with the legs? But as the legs go out, the arms come in. So instead of them moving in the same direction, they're moving in opposite directions. Again, just a little bit harder on the brain there. And 4, 3, 2, and last one. March it out. Great job. Okay, let's do a little reset here. Let's roll those shoulders up, back, and down. Oh, I love those shoulder roll back. Help to kind of bring those shoulders back and down. So if you find throughout your day, your shoulders round forward just a little bit, this helps to reset the posture. Shoulders back and down. I like to think about like you're taking your shoulder blades and dropping them into your back pockets, which leaves us with a really good posture, our chest up. Okay, let's bring our heart rates back down just a little bit. So I'm going to go into a little bit lower march, and let's take it to a nice, easy step touch. So step together, step together. So bringing that heart rate down, arms can nice and easy sway at the same direction there, easier on our brain. Yeah, let's warm up the fingers and the hands just a little bit. Can we open our hands and close? And once again, maybe at this point here, you're ready for a drink. Grab a drink if you'd like. Maybe you feel like this would be a good time to sit down. Please feel free to sit down. Great. When we kind of work our hands, sometimes we'll touch finger to thumb. Really the important part is opening our hands. With arthritis, we tend to have our hands and our knuckles and our fingers start to kind of clench together. So that opening up is the important part there. Great. Okay, shake that out. Let's take a couple of nice deep breaths. Now I feel my heart rate going down. I'm starting to breathe back to normal again. I feel like I'm cooling off just a little bit. So if you're feeling like you're still a little warm, feel free to walk around the room just a couple more times. I'm going to grab a quick drink, but don't feel like you have to right away get into the strength portion if you feel like you're still breathing a little heavier. Okay, if you're ready for the next part, let's get into our strength portion. So I'm going to grab onto my weights. As you know, we all follow the 2 back to every 1 chest exercise. So let's start with a little bit of back and a little bit of leg. So I'm going to roll my shoulders back and down. I've got my weights in my hands right now. I'm going to hinge forward. I'm going to bring my hands to my hips, back to my knees, and I'm going to stand up, squeezing my glutes and my hamstrings. I'm going to come down. I'm going to pull and come back up. Good. So this is a dead, excuse me. This is a dead row, is what we're doing here. So I'm hinging forward, I'm doing that row, and then coming back up. Good. So keep going with this one here. If you're enjoying this standing position, if you feel like you needed a seated option, I'm going to give you a seated option here in just a moment. So you can sit down in your chair and you would just simply hinge forward or lean forward, and then you're going to pull your hands to your hips and back down. So you can do that seated position, or you can do it in standing, whatever feels right. If you have a band versus weights today, then you would just simply have your band underneath your feet, but you're doing the same movement, but with your band under your feet instead. Okay, let's do a couple more here. Now I'm going to aim for around 12. You might be thinking kind of somewhere between 10 to 14. So if you feel like you've gotten to fatigue, you've gotten to the point where you feel like you can't quite do one more, feel free to stop or just join me for a couple more here. And last time. Nice work. Okay, let's put that down. Let's do some chest work here now. So just a little bit of a reset here. Roll those shoulders back and down. And let's do a little bit of chest. So for chest, we either need to use our bands, or if you're able to get down on the ground, you can always get down on the ground with your weights. And you can do the exact same thing that I'm about to do right now, but you'd be doing it with weights on the ground instead. So let's do a chest fly today. So I'm going to grip my band nice and close here. I'm going to kind of reach back as far as I can, like I'm toweling off behind. My arms are going to come out to the side here. And then I'm going to bring my hands together in front and then bring my hands back. Boy, I feel like I'm zoomed in today here. I'm still at the same position where my camera usually is on my far wall. And I feel like I'm almost zoomed in where anyways, I don't feel like I've got a full view of the camera here right now, but that you get the idea. My arms are all the way out to the side and then come all the way together in front. So arms out to the side and together in front. Good. And you can do this seated if you'd prefer. I'm going to breathe at the same time, so I'm going to exhale as I bring my arms forward. I'm going to inhale as I bring my arms back. So if you only have weights here today, you might be laying down on the ground right now and doing that same movement with weights, but we wouldn't want to do that standing up with weights because we're working a different muscle group then. Let's see, 3 more. 2 more. And last one. Good. Okay, and release that. Give that a little bit of a shake. Oh, I really feel that chest exercise here today. I had a good program that I did on Tuesday, and I'm feeling those muscles already. Give that a little bit of a shake. Grab yourself a quick drink. I like to have a drink about every 2 to 3 exercises. Make sure I stay hydrated, but know that you can drink a little more, drink a little less, depending on how you're feeling today. Let's work our leg muscles. So a couple options. If you're feeling like you need to do this seated today, feel free to do this seated. You can just simply do a leg extension, sitting up nice and tall, again with my back away from the back of the chair. And I'm going to straighten my leg and bend my leg, keeping those knees parallel. So I don't need to necessarily lift up my leg before I straighten. So you can start with that. If you want to do this standing, you can do this with weights or without weights. I'm going to choose to do with weights today. So I'm going to have a narrow stance today. I'm going to sit my hips back and then I'm going to come all the way back up. No, you can always choose to do this squat without weights. If you feel like your balance is a little bit off, but you'd like to do it in standing, maybe you want to have your hands on the back of the chair as you do this. Or if you're feeling like you'd like a bit of a challenge today, you can have some weights. Now you'll notice that my hips are going back, but I'm keeping my chest lifted here. So you should be able to read the logo on my shirt the whole entire time. We want to avoid this sort of thing where you're just hinging at the hips. My hips should be coming back, chest staying lifted. Might be helpful to see this from the side a few times. Okay, I'm starting to get to fatigue, starting to feel that my legs just a little bit. So I'm going to try 3 more. Again, stop if you feel like you've had enough. And 2. And last time. Great, nice work. So you can put those down, give those legs a little bit of a shake. You can always stretch out between exercises. So maybe you like to grasp onto your ankle or foot. Maybe grasping that ankle or foot is just not quite, you don't have the range of motion in the leg. I've just got a couch right behind me. I could put my leg on my couch just so that I'm relaxing my muscles, allowing to have that nice stretch through my hip flexor and quad without having to be able to reach for that foot or for that leg. Switch sides if you'd like. Good. Okay. Let's do our second back exercise, which will be more for our upper back. So we're going to grasp onto our weights again. Again, doing this seated looks exactly the same, whether we're seated or standing. We're going to hinge forward, have our hands drop down. We're going to bring our arms out to the side and then slower back down. This is our upper back fly. Now, these are kind of heavy weights for this exercise. This one here is definitely a smaller muscle group, so I might not quite get to 12 to 14 in this case here. I'm going to more aim for 8 to 10 of these ones here. So at home, you could always choose to take a lighter weight or just do a few less reps like I'm going to do. And if you've got band, not weights at home, then my band would just be underneath my feet to do this. Okay, I gotta be getting close to that 8 to 10. I'm gonna try for 2 more. And last one. Great. Nice work. Put those down, give that a little bit of a shake. Maybe roll those shoulders. I like to have a drink. Okay, nice work. Let's move on to shoulders here now. I'm going to choose to do an upright row. Once again, you can do this with your band underneath your feet or weights. You're going to stand with your feet about hip width or shoulder width apart. Always starting with good posture before we start an exercise. The ABCs of posture, my palms facing back. I'm going to lift my hands out to the side and back down. I shouldn't say our hands out to the side. My elbows are going to come out to the side. My hands are going to kind of come straight up along my body here. You'll notice I'm aiming for my weights or my hands to be about the base of my chest. So if I pause for this next time here, my elbows should look just slightly lower than my shoulders, and my hands and my weights are just slightly lower than my elbows. Good. And this is our upright row. So this is working our medial deltoids, or the middle part of our shoulders, as well as our upper trapezius muscles. And 4 more here. Again, stopping sooner if you'd like. Oh, I think it's a good thing that I chose to stay indoors rather than outdoors. I'm getting hot and sweaty without having to contend with the plus 30 we have outside today. Last one. Great. Okay, we can put that down, give that a shake. Roll those shoulders up, back, and down. Nice. So for our upper body, we still have our biceps and triceps to go. I think I'm going to add just another leg in while we're just giving that upper body a little bit of a break. So let's practice our lunge, and I'm going to do the split stride lunge. So regularly our lunge is a nice big lean forward and back, where our aim is 90-degree angles with both knees. This one here, I'm not going to have quite as big of a step back, but this one's going to feel almost like it's like a one-legged squat is almost what it's going to feel like more than a lunge. So this back foot, I'm only going to have about 20% of my weight on that one, 80% of the weight in the front leg, and I'm going to sit my hips back like I am doing a squat. So from this side, this should look like a squat. From here, this leg is more like a kickstand is what this should feel like. Hips are going back, chest is staying lifted, and come back up. So you might think this looks like an easier lunge, but what this is actually a little bit harder squat is what it is. You can have that hand on your chair in front. Now, if you like this, keep going with this. If you'd like a little bit of another option, so doing this seated, then what we can do instead, last time we did a leg and seated, we did a leg extension. Now let's do a hamstring curl instead. So keeping those knees parallel, and this time here, your heels are going to come back. And this is why I'm sitting on the front half of my chair as well. So I'm working my core, but also so that I can bring that heel back and I'm not hitting my chair. Okay, if you're doing that split stride lunge in standing, probably time to switch sides. So other leg forward, other leg back this time. So now we're working that front leg. Hips are going back. Whoop, hips are going back. And then come back up. Had a little bit too much weight in my back leg. So most of the weight is in that front leg. The back leg, think of it as just being like a kickstand. Good. Maybe I'll come face the front just so you can get a better view. But I think that side view is the better view for you today here. Good. And you'll hear us quite often say that your knee shouldn't go beyond your toes. And in this case, you might be saying, okay, well, my back leg is going past. I really don't want all of your weight in that back leg. 80% of your weight is in your front leg, 20% in your back leg. So really that back leg is just acting as a kickstand. And 2 more. And last one. Great. Okay, we're on to biceps and triceps. So let's grab onto our weights here. Roll those shoulders up, back, and down. Again, chest is lifted. And this time here, we're going to start with our palms facing in towards our body, but we're going to rotate our hands and bring our hands towards our body when we come to the top. So just a little bit of a rotation with that this time around. We're going to exhale as we come up, inhale as we come back down. And seated should look exactly the same once again. And just being mindful that we're not stopping at our hips. I find sometimes people will stop on their thighs. We want to bring our hands all the way up, but then all the way back down, and then back up again. Good. When possible, I'd encourage you to do things standing. Just we do sit for a lot of our day, so if you're able to stand for your exercises, but if you ever feel unbalanced, that you're maybe not having a great day, then please feel free to sit down at any time. Let's try 2 more. And last time. Great. And release that. Put those down, grab yourself a drink of water. Okay, and going on to triceps. So let's grab our band for our triceps this time. Let's have one hand go to the other shoulder. I like to get rid of half of my band, so it's just out of the way. And I grab one of my bands that doesn't have a knot. Usually I'd be grabbing onto my knot right now. Now let's have that hand come straight out in front and back. So reaching that arm out and back. So working the triceps anytime that we're extending our hand, we're extending our arm against pressure, that's working our triceps or the under part of our arm. I know you've heard me say this before, that's that muscle that when you wave, it waves back. So my groups like to call it the gobble muscle. And let's see, 3 more, 2 more, and last one. Okay, and we'll switch sides. So band is going over top of the other shoulder, other hand. Again, I like to either grab my knot or wrap the band loosely around the hand. And then again, extend and bend. How's our ABCs of posture? Are we standing nice and tall? Core is engaged. Let's try for 3 more or 4. And last one. Good. Okay, nice work, everyone. Let's move on to our, what I like to call double dippers. These are our leg strengthening, but also balance exercises. So we can always have that chair there for support. For all of our balance exercises, we have 3 options. Level 1, we need our chair for support, so we're going to be holding on to our chair. Level 2, maybe it's just our fingertips on the chair. And level 3, our hands are hovering. So let's start with the hip extension. So I'm going to balance on one foot, that leg coming back, squeezing my glutes and my hamstrings, and then slowly lower back down. So because I'm going slow and controlled with this, I'm working my balance. And then because I'm squeezing my glutes as I lift it up, then I'm also working my glutes and my hamstrings, which is why I call it a double dipper. We're working leg strength and balance at the same time. I just got to find a way to add some brain health, and then it could be a triple dipper. So we could be counting backwards by 7s right now. We could be going through the alphabet trying to think about a fruit or vegetable from A to Z that starts with the letter A to Z. So you could always add on some brain health sort of things here too. And again, have that chair there for support just in case you need it. Now you can stay with this hip extension, or if you're ready for a bit of a challenge, you can extend one arm with that leg. I'm actually lift up opposite arm, opposite leg, and then back down. Just getting a little bit of opening through the front of our body, a little bit more of a challenge on our balance. And then, you always have options for seated. If you're able to stand, even hanging onto the chair, I would suggest you try that, but keep going. If you feel like you do need to sit down for this one, kind of an interesting way or interesting option for this one here, but I would push down with my leg and pull back, still working on my glutes and my hamstrings. I'm just not working on my balance. Push down, pull back, and again, push down with my foot, pull back. And you'll feel that tighten in your glutes and your hamstrings at the same time. But if you're able to stand and do this, I would suggest that you do that so that you're challenging your balance at the same time. And 2 more. And last time. Okay, let's do our tandem walk. So we're going to have one foot right in front of the other. Now we have options, of course, for this. So option 1, you could walk with your feet not touching. So my feet will just be a little bit further apart, but kind of walking one in front of the other. Or if you want a bit more of a challenge, you could actually have your back toe touching your front heel. And once again, I would suggest have that chair nearby for support, just in case at any time you feel like you need that chair. Now, if you'd like a little bit more of a challenge, and I would suggest have those fingertips on the chair if you're going to add some of these. For our vision, easiest if we look straight ahead. A little bit harder is we're going to look around the room at the same time. A little bit harder still, we could close one eye. And this one here, I'm going to really make sure that I have my fingertips on the chair. You could try closing both eyes. But again, you'll notice my fingertips are on my chair. Ooh, just in case I need it. Good, because that both eyes closed is way more of a challenge. I'm going to go back to one eye closed. Here we go. I feel like where I'm at today. And know that one day you might have better balance than other days, and that's okay. Good. Okay, and give that a little bit of a shake. Okay, nice work. Let's get into some ab work. So I'm going to sit on the front half of my chair, and I'm actually going to take my weights off the back of my chair here. Okay, so I'm going to be sitting on my chair here, front half of my chair, my shoulders back and down. Let's do some functional abs here today. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to lean back slightly, and just that little bit of a lean engages the core. So I can feel my rectus abdominis kick in, my obliques are stabilizing, and my lower back is stabilizing as well. I might consider just lifting up one arm at a time. I might add one leg at a time. That would be what I'd call my option 2 or my level 2. And then my option 3, the hardest of all that, would be I would lift my arm and my leg up and then slow and controlled back down. So slow and controlled, lift up, slow and controlled back down. So my core is stabilizing and functionally working to stabilize. How you doing at home there? You can always do this on the floor as well. On the floor we call it dead bug, or I call it functional abdominals as well. And the idea is in our everyday life, if we could just more of the time kind of engage that core as we're moving clothes from the washer to the dryer or carrying our laundry basket up our stairs, then we'd have a stronger core, a core that would stabilize and balance us a bit more. So this is the idea. My legs and my arms are simply a distraction to help turn on my core at the same time. And let's see 2 more. And last time. Good. And release that to come back to that seated position. Okay, let's isolate a little bit of the obliques. So what we'll do is we'll lift up one arm. We're going to bring armpit and hip together, or elbow and hip together, and then we're going to release. Let's stick with one side at a time. So elbow and hip together and release. So I like to think that I'm lifting up one bum cheek, that I could actually stick a book underneath that bum cheek and then lift it up. I want to see how much I can squeeze my hip and my armpit, or hip and my elbow together, and then release. And just like we've been doing this whole entire time, you're breathing at the same time here. And let's see, 4 more. 3, 2, and last one. Good. Okay, switching to the other side here now. So other arm up, armpit and hip together, and release. And 2 more. And last one. Good. Okay, so there was 2 ab exercises, although we were probably working our abdominals the whole entire time. Okay, let's go into our stretches. So let's start by our hamstring stretch. Extend that leg, press that heel away, bring the toe towards the shin, round your shoulders back and down, or roll them back and down. And then we're going to hinge at our hips rather than rounding at our spine to get a really nice stretch through the back of the leg. Oh, whenever I do my stretches, I think, boy, I should be doing this every day, which we should be. And sometimes we get busy and don't have a chance to do all of our stretches. But really good that we actually stretch every day, even the days that we don't necessarily have a workout. Having a nice stretch is a good way to keep our muscles stretched out, our joints moving better. I'm going to take one more breath. On your exhale, maybe sink just a little bit deeper into that stretch. And our stretches should never hurt, but I feel a little bit of a pull in my muscles, which is what you should feel. And let's switch sides. Other leg forward. Roll the shoulders back and down. Hinge forward at the hips. Nice stretch all through the back of the leg once again. And I notice I'm looking about 3 or 4 feet in front, and I'm trying to keep my head and neck in line with my spine. Really is where we should be most of the time. I'm going to take a deep breath in. On my exhale, lean forward just a little further forward. Nice stretch to the back of the leg. Good. And release that. Let's stretch our hip flexors and our quads. So I'm going to swivel on my chair. I'm going to take one leg back. And I'm going to see how far back I can bring that leg. So I get a nice stretch through my hip flexor and down into my quadricep here. I'm going to bring my knee in. I'm going to think about pulling that hip forward, really deepening that stretch through the front of the hip and down into the quadricep. Our hip flexors, or iliopsoas, is a muscle that attaches our lower half of our body and our upper half of our body. And it really is the only muscle that does that. So it tends to be very tight. And when it's very tight, then it tends to pull on our lower back and give us lower back pain. So oftentimes I ask people if they tell me they have lower back pain, I ask them how often they stretch their hip flexors or their iliopsoas muscle. And oftentimes they don't stretch it very much. So this is a really good one to stretch that. Good. And let's release that. Let's switch sides. Other leg back, and take that back leg back as far as you can. And again, I'm going to drop my knee. I'm going to do a little bit of pelvic tilt. Pull your hip forward as much as you can, getting a lovely stretch through the front of the hip. And by all means, you can always stretch your upper body at the same time here. Sometimes I like just to concentrate on one stretch at a time. And I feel like this is a stretch I really need to focus on right now. And release that. Okay, let's do a little bit of a hip stretch. So I can cross my ankle over my foot over my ankle. I could cross my foot over my shin. I have really good mobility, so I'm going to actually bring my foot over my knee. Roll the shoulder back and down, sitting up nice and tall. Maybe this is where you're at today. Maybe that feels really good. I'm actually going to lean forward just a little bit. I'm going to gently press on that knee. Again, I have really good mobility in my hips right now, and I want to keep that, so I'm going to deepen that stretch just a little bit. But again, listening to your body, never going to the point of pain, only as far as you feel a gentle stretch through the muscle. And release that. Let's switch sides. Again, crossing at the ankle, the shin, or above the knee. Hinge forward. Maintain that nice neutral spine. Gently pressing on that knee if you have that availability in your joint. And release that. Let's stretch out our shoulders just a little bit. So one arm across the front here. And I'm going to make sure I'm keeping that shoulder down. we tend to bring that shoulder up a little higher. And if we do that, just reset, bring that shoulder back down. Take that same arm up and back in for a tricep stretch so we can gently press on the elbow. From this angle, I could bring my arm up and over, press it on it from here. And other side. Other arm across the front. And it doesn't matter, I can press just above my elbow, just below my elbow. Heck, if I wanted to, I could hold my elbow. That's not putting any extra pressure on the joint. I usually grasp just slightly above my elbow. And bring that arm up and over. Press on that tricep muscle. Again, press that arm up. Or bring that arm up and over, just making sure that we're not pulling or putting any pressure on that neck at the same time. And release that. Let's open up through the chest here, stretch out through the front. Take a few nice deep breaths as we have that nice big opened front. Lots of room for the lungs to take some nice deep breaths. Good. If you'd like, bring those hands behind in another chest stretch, anterior deltoid stretch. Yeah, let's drop one ear to one shoulder. Give that opposite arm just a little bit of a pull, getting a nice stretch. So I'm dropping that shoulder just to deepen that stretch through that upper neck. And release that, switch sides. Nice work. Couple more nice deep breaths. Bring the shoulders up towards the ears as we inhale and exhale back and down. Two more. And last time. Well, thank you so much for joining me today for, I think that ended up being about 45 minutes. Thanks for joining me for class today. I hope you enjoyed it. I always love to see in the comments if there's something that you enjoy doing or something you liked more than others or an exercise you've never seen before. I hope you have a fantastic summer and I'll see you again in a couple weeks. Okay, thanks again. Take care.